I just walked in the door, and the silence of the house was a huge relief after a long day. My husband, Mark, was nowhere in sight, but his phone buzzed on the kitchen counter, a familiar, insistent vibration against the granite. Before I could even reach for it, our babysitter, Chloe, a girl I trusted with my kids and in my home, picked it up. A sweet, almost knowing smile touched her lips as she answered. Then she said the two words that would burn my old life to the ground. "She's back." Her voice was casual, but the words just hung in the air like poison. My mind was scrambling, trying to make any sense of it. Who was she talking to? And why in the world was she answering my husband's phone? The look on her face when she saw me wasn't panic or surprise. It was annoyance. Like I'd just interrupted a private call. "Oh, hey," she said, her voice suddenly flat as she hung up. "Mark had to run out. Said he'd be back later." She grabbed her bag, wouldn't meet my eyes, and was out the door before I could even form a question. I was just left standing there in the ringing silence of my own kitchen, with the echo of those two words, "She's back," playing on a loop in my head. A cold dread settled in my chest, heavy and suffocating. This was so much more than just a strange phone call. This was betrayal, living right here under my roof. I felt so violated. My safe space, my home, had been compromised. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I stood there for a second, letting the shock wash over me, and then a totally different feeling took over, a cold, hard clarity. I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to the bone, that my marriage was a complete lie. The person I trusted most in the world was the source of this deep, gut-wrenching pain. The question wasn't if Mark was cheating, but for how long, and just how deep the deception ran. My first instinct was to check his phone. It was locked, of course. Pattern lock. A secret he kept right there in plain sight. I tried the usual patterns, his initials, our kids' birthdays, nothing. For a moment, a blind rage almost took over. I wanted to throw the phone against the wall, to shatter it just like he had shattered my reality. But I held back. Destruction was his thing, not mine. My revenge was going to be strategic. It would be absolute. I started thinking back, replaying the last few months. The late nights. At the office. The sudden, vague business trips. The way he'd started guarding his phone like it held state secrets. And then I thought about Chloe, always a little too familiar, wearing Mark's hoodies around the house because she was cold. Each memory was a small cut, another piece of a puzzle I didn't even know I was supposed to be solving. The betrayal wasn't just the cheating. It was knowing the two people I trusted most in my own home had been lying to my face for months. Hours later, Mark came home. He was all smiles and apologies, a whole story about a last-minute work crisis ready to go. I played the part of the tired, unsuspecting wife. I didn't ask any questions. I gave him zero reason to think that the ground beneath his feet was about to crumble. Inside, I was a storm of pure fury, but on the surface, I was completely calm. He'd get no reaction from me. Not yet. That night, as he slept soundly beside me, I got my chance. I picked up his phone, my hand steady. I thought about his password. It had to be something meaningful to him, something he wouldn't forget. And then it hit me. Not our anniversary. Not our kids' names. I traced the birth date of his first love, his vintage sports car. The screen unlocked. A wave of nausea and triumph washed over me. I went straight to his messages. The thread with Chloe was gone. Of course it was. Too obvious. But they always forget about the cloud, about synced devices. I opened his laptop, and there it was. A complete, unvarnished history of their affair. It was worse than I could have ever imagined. Months of messages. This wasn't just some flirtation. It was a fully fledged relationship. They talked about me, my work schedule, the best times to meet up at our house. They talked about their future, a future built on the ashes of my life. There were photos of them in hotel rooms, at restaurants I'd always wanted to go to, and one, a selfie of Chloe in our bed, in my bedroom. The level of disrespect was staggering. Then I moved to the financials. Our joint savings account, the one we were building for our children's future, had been systematically drained. Expensive dinners, jewelry, a weekend getaway to a luxury spa. He wasn't just cheating on me. He was stealing from our family to fund his disgusting double life. I didn't break down. I didn't fall apart. Instead, I did something far more dangerous. I smiled. And I started planning. I spent the rest of the night taking screenshots, downloading bank statements, and forwarding every last piece of evidence to a new, secret email address. I was building an arsenal. A simple confrontation wasn't going to be enough. They deserved to be exposed, to have their world completely dismantled, just like they had dismantled mine. The next morning, I called my best friend, who happens to be a divorce lawyer. I laid it all out for her, my voice even, my instructions crystal clear. She was shocked, then furious on my behalf, and finally, really impressed. We put a plan in motion. We froze the assets. We prepared the divorce papers, citing the mountain of evidence I had for his cheating and stealing. The key to my whole plan came from a text message I found between Mark and his mother. His parents were coming for dinner on Saturday to celebrate his big promotion at work. A promotion he'd apparently gotten 6 weeks ago and had conveniently forgotten to share with his wife. It was perfect. Their whole affair was built on lies and secrecy. It would be destroyed by truth and public humiliation. They wanted a new life together. Fine. I would give them a memorable start. The days leading up to that dinner were the longest of my life. I was living with a monster, smiling at him, sleeping next to him, all while knowing the truth. He was totally oblivious, wrapped up in his own arrogance. He thought I was a fool. He had no idea I was the executioner, just sharpening the blade. Saturday arrived. I cooked his favorite meal. I set the table with our best china. Mark's parents, John and Mary, showed up, beaming with pride for their successful son. They gushed about his promotion, about how he was finally getting the recognition he deserved. Mark just soaked it all in, playing the part of the devoted husband and brilliant professional, all while secretly texting Chloe under the table. I saw him, and I smiled. Halfway through the main course, I stood up, tapping my glass for a toast. "I'd like to say a few words," I began, my voice clear and steady. "I want to congratulate my husband, Mark. He is a man of many hidden talents. A man who truly knows how to get what he wants." Mark smiled, a little smugly. His parents looked so proud. "We're here to celebrate a promotion," I continued, "but I think we should also celebrate new beginnings, the start of a new life. And since this is such a special family occasion, I thought it was only right that we include everyone who's part of this new chapter." Just then, the doorbell rang. Mark's face went white. He knew. His parents looked at me, confused. "I'll get it," I said brightly. I opened the door, and there stood Chloe. I'd texted her from Mark's phone an hour earlier, telling her to come over, that my in-laws had left and the coast was clear. Her face, which was smiling at first, just fell when she saw Mark's parents staring at her from the dining table. I stepped aside. "Please, Chloe, come in. You're the guest of honor." The room was dead silent. Mary's hand flew to her mouth. John's face hardened into a mask of stone-cold fury. I walked back to the head of the table and picked up a thick manila envelope. "You see," I announced to the room. Mark hasn't just been climbing the corporate ladder. He's been building a whole new life. With our babysitter. I pulled out the first document. This is a bank statement. You might recognize these charges, Mark. The 5-star hotel from your business conference last month? The diamond bracelet I never got? I threw the papers on the table. Then came the text messages. I read them aloud. Every single sickening word. Their pet names for each other. Their insults about me. Their plans to tell the kids that I had left them. Chloe started to cry. Mark just sat there, his face ashen, his whole world collapsing in real time. And my personal favorite, I said, holding up a screenshot of that selfie Chloe took in our bed. Making yourself right at home, weren't you? I looked at Mark's parents. I'm sorry you had to learn this way. But his betrayal was not going to be my secret shame. It is his. I turned to Mark. My lawyer will be in touch tomorrow. This marriage is over. Then I looked at Chloe, whose face was a mess of tears and mascara. Get out of my house. And if you ever come near my children again, I will make sure every single person in this town knows exactly what you are. She fled, and Mark wasn't far behind her, stumbling out into the night with nothing but the clothes on his back and the ruins of his life. His parents stayed, apologizing over and over, ashamed and heartbroken by what their son had done. But this was never about them. It was about me taking back control. If you have ever felt betrayed like this, if you've had a moment that just shattered your world, share your story of how you found your strength in the comments. Your story has power, and it might be the lifeline someone else needs to read today. And please, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories of justice and empowerment. The aftermath was exactly as I had planned. The divorce was swift. With the mountain of evidence I had, he had no choice but to agree to my terms. I got the house, full custody, and more than enough financial support to make sure my children would never want for anything. Word got around the office, of course. That big promotion of his? Gone. His relationship with his parents? Fractured, maybe for good. I didn't do it out of hate. I did it out of respect for myself. Betrayal can leave you feeling worthless, like a victim in your own life story. But I refused to be a footnote in the story of his affair. I became the author of my own comeback. Today, my home is quiet again. But it's a different kind of quiet. It's not the silence of secrets and lies. It's the silence of peace. The silence of a life rebuilt, stronger and more authentic than ever before. I learned that the end of a marriage isn't the end of your life. Sometimes, it's the beginning of it. And justice, I found, isn't just about revenge. It's about reclaiming your future.